Well, everybody knows that right now this is the age of technology and of media. Everyone has an iPad, gone are the days of the Game Boy. Now it's the iPad, now it's the iPhone, now it's, all YouTube on there and everything else. Now it's just the days of you're going to a restaurant and you've got to whip out the iPad for the child. What kind of impact does that have on a child's development? Well, it has a lot of impact on them, and not for the good. Sometimes it can help them with learning numbers and letters, and there are some great games in that. And, about 10 to 20 minutes a day is max. But when you're starting to use these things in place of other ways of learning, then it poses a problem.
According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, allowing children to use cell phones or tablets can do more harm than good because their brains continue to develop. Cell phone and tablet use can lead to aggression, developmental delays for language and speech because they rely on the devices to communicate. And they're having trouble critically thinking on their own, leading to learning disabilities. And the lack of movement can then lead to obesity.
The average teen spends more than 11 hours a day exposed to a variety of media. A 2012 study found half of all teenagers sending 50 text messages a day, 3,300 texts a month. And the average teen sends 34 texts each night after going to bed. Entire families now text at dinner.
It's about teaching your kids boundaries. It's about limiting, of course, just like you would anything. And it's about teaching kids how to defer gratification versus getting everything right away, right now.
The American Academy of Pediatrics suggests limiting your child's exposure to TV or the computer for educational purposes only.
Dr. Michael Yazinski is a psychiatrist who says too often women are using social media to figure out if they measure up.
Now your sense of self is now potentially all based on whether or not you feel like you are as good as everyone else out there.
But in a digital age, experts say, social media can sometimes cause likes anxiety based on how many people like a post.
I do feel as if the more likes I get, the happier I will be.
Of the 92% of teens who say they go online daily, a quarter of them are connected almost constantly. Teens on Facebook average 150 friends, on Instagram 100 friends. Experts say that's a lot of social pressure, a lot of voices liking or not liking.
In a Facebook, Instagram world, in other words, we're good at putting filters on things. We're good at showing people that life is amazing even though I'm depressed, right? And so everybody sounds tough, and everybody sounds like they got it all figured out. And the reality is there's very little toughness, and most people don't have it figured out.
Here for D News, and FOMO, man, fear of missing out. It's a thing. It's a very real thing. It's basically the anxiety caused by thinking that wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you could be doing something better somewhere else right at that moment. It's not a new thing. People are social animals. We're tribal. We want to be involved with things, and we have a natural anxiety about feeling left out. You can understand why social media could exacerbate that condition. You're sitting at home and you instantly know via Facebook or Twitter or Instagram that some of your friends are hanging out just a couple blocks from your house. What are they doing? Why weren't you invited? All of a sudden, you're wondering if you even really wanted to rent a movie and stay home when 10 minutes ago, it sounded like the best idea in the world. The rise of social media and connectedness over the last few years has caused all of this stuff to skyrocket. In a study of 3,000 people between the ages of 15 and 50, 62% of the subjects said they live in constant fear that they are missing out on something better.
Boston city officials shut down cell service, shut down phone lines in the area to prevent the possibility of more detonations at that point. And so, as you can imagine, social media became very vital for folks trying to reach out to family and friends and make sure that they are okay, as they were relying on status updates and texts to make sure that they were okay.
With today's media, people are often privy to news about their alienated family members through third parties, and this can cause painful reminders of what they have lost.
For many, social media is a way to stay in touch with lifelong friends and keep up with family who live in other states or countries, and to share photos, videos, news, thoughts and opinions, or even just to send a quick message to say hello.
Media and smartphone and apps do change the way we communicate, but they don't ruin relationships. They're tools that enable your behavior, whether that's good or bad. It's not technology, it's you.
Of the 13-year-old girls in the United States, 53% don't like their bodies. And that number goes to 78% by the time that they're 17.
I went to Oregon for a year, and so it's a way of me to connect with all of my family and friends up there.
It can help you collaborate with a lot of people easily.
Staying connected with people, long distance.
It's definitely kind of a self-esteem crusher, and I actually had to go on a break of Instagram for like a year and a half, and I was more worried about self-image, and it made me super insecure.
I think social media has affected the way I view myself. You're constantly trying to go for this certain aesthetic, but in reality, that doesn't really matter.
The bodybuilders and everything like that people like give shout outs and everything to, and I see them on my feed. And when I look at those, like it kind of makes me feel like that's what everybody wants.
Social media does affect the way I view myself because I'm always trying to portray myself as one way. For like jobs and teams, you try to make yourself look as presentable and responsible as you can when like maybe you think you're a little more fun or...
One of my closest friends I give her a really hard time about because she always whitens her teeth before she posts any pictures that she's in. I look at her and I don't see any like flaws in her, but I think it's sad because it sets up like this expectation that we have of others and ourselves.
You know, there's like so many fake pictures, so many fake videos.
I know that there's no way for me to look like I do when I change my picture.
They portray themselves as someone that they're not. They have a smaller butt than they wanted. They have smaller, less broad shoulders that the person wanted. They're not as muscular.
That's the standard of beauty of what you should look like. It doesn't really allow people to see that imperfection is okay.
Christmas night, clutch the light, the hello bright.
Good morning, I'm Dara Brown. There's breaking news at this hour from Orlando, where there are reports of a shooting at a nightclub in that city.
Today, as Americans, we grieve the brutal murder, a horrific massacre of dozens of innocent people. We pray for their families who are grasping for answers with broken hearts. We stand with the people of Orlando who have endured a terrible attack on their city. As we go together, we will draw inspiration from heroic and selfless acts. Friends who helped friends, took care of each other, and saved lives. In the face of hate and violence, we will love one another. We will not give in to fear or turn against each other. Instead, we will stand united as Americans to protect our people and defend our nation and to take action against those who threaten us. May God bless the Americans we lost this morning. May He comfort their families. May God continue to watch over this country that we love. Thank you.
On behalf of the whole theatre community and every person in this room, our hearts go out to all of those affected by this atrocity. All we can say is you are not on your own right now. Your tragedy is our tragedy. Theatre is a place where every race, creed, sexuality, and gender is equal, is embraced, and is loved. Hate will never win. Together, we have to make sure of that. Tonight's show stands as a symbol and a celebration of that principle. This is the Tony Awards.
Somewhere, baby, it's part of me, apart from me. It ain't ways to hollow. You fucked it, friend, it's on its head, it's stuck